Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Town of Cutler Bay Town Council meeting. Today's date is October 16th, 2024. Mr. Clerk, if you could please take the roll.
Councilmember Lord.
Here.
Councilmember Duncan.
Here.
Councilmember Ramirez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Callahan.
Here.
Mayor Marbot.
Present.
Have a quorum.
All right, if you could all please rise with me and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, everyone. All right, before we get started, I just want to go ahead and recognize one of our partners. As I've said many times, Cutler Bay success, which I think has been successful, is based on our partnership with all the people that help us at the different levels, federal, state, county, every level across the board. We do have a great relationship, and we also have a great relationship with one of our senators that represent us in the Florida legislature. And she had office hours here today in Cutler Bay to get with the citizens. She's here with us today. So I just want to take this opportunity just to greet her. And so we have Senator Alexis Calatayud, or I don't know if I said, if you want to come into the mic, make sure I said your name properly, first of all, because I've never gotten it right ever in all these years. So you want to push the button, make sure you're on.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Vice Mayor and council members, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity to engage with our residents in the town hall. And I just wanted to share my eagerness going into this next legislative session to be effective on the issues that are most important to our residents, whether that's the stormwater challenges we face with flooding, or the cost of living challenges we have with property insurance and other such important expenses to our homeowners and to our residents. Want to make sure that our community understands that I want to listen and I want to find ways to be most impactful for their bottom line and for their household budgets. And to also say it is a joy to work with you all in Tallahassee. And I look forward to our visits, our time together, and the strategy we're going to implement to make sure that what they need is what we bring back down. Again, thank you for the time today and here to serve.
All right, and thank you. You do serve us very well. It was funny, recently we had concerns of flooding. And I think somebody actually made the point, it's like, oh, there's only $1 million for a project in Sac Bay. And they say only in $1 million. And it's like, they have to realize that's $1 million, which is not being paid for by our Cutler Bay citizens. And that $1 million is going to go a long way to protecting the Sac Bay area. So it's unfortunate they don't appreciate how beneficial that is to the town, and also they don't understand where it comes from. And that's kind of the hard work that you do up in Tallahassee for us. So thank you for that very much. Okay. All right. At this time, I'm going to open up the floor for public comments. Anybody wishing to speak in public comments, please come forward. All right. As there are none, Mauricio, if you could please read the directions for calling in real quick, please.
Please be advised that when joining the meeting, you are automatically muted. Welcome to tonight's meeting. The public was able to make public comments prior to the meeting, either by leaving a voicemail message or sending an email to the town clerk. The clerk's office has not received any voicemails or email public comments for anything on the agenda this evening. If you wish to speak tonight, please press *9 and the host will be alerted. Pressing *9 is known as raising your hand. Once you press *9, you will be placed in a queue to speak and will be called upon by your name or the last 3 digits of your telephone number. Please wait to be called upon. Please state your name and address. If you are a hired consultant or town employee, and or if you are engaged in lobbying activities and or representing an organization, please provide that information before speaking. Please be sure to be in a quiet area to avoid unnecessary noise. A time limit of 3 minutes will be imposed for each speaker during public comments.
All right. Is there any comments that you need to enter today?
No one in the queue right now.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll close public comments this time. We've all submitted our town council announcement board and committee reports. So you have an addition, Vice Mayor Callahan, you recognize?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just very quickly, just very proud to announce that the town of Cutler Bay is going to partner with CHI and the CHI Foundation for this year's toy drive. So we will be opening up the toy drive and sending out information shortly, but I think it'll probably run November 15th through December 18th. We will act as a one collection spot in the lobby. So we're hoping to be able to raise about 3,000 toys for our disadvantaged youngsters. So
Okay, awesome.
thank you.
Very good. All right. All right, anything else? Councilman Duncan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one quick announcement. Tomorrow at Cutler Bay Senior High School, we are having our 4th Annual Education Summit. That is a joint event between the town of Cutler Bay with the town's Education Advisory Committee, as well as Miami-Dade County Public Schools. It's the 4th one that we've done, and we'll have a lot of different panelists from the county that will be there to give any sort of information, answer questions that parents and students and anybody else might have about the school system and how things operate. There will also be many student performances from all of our town schools, which we're looking forward to as well. So we hope to see you all there. It is once again tomorrow, the 17th, from 6:45 to 8:30 at Cutler Bay Senior High School. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. All right, anything else? Very good. It's unusual you have them interject like that. All right. That takes us to our town manager's report. Ralph, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Tonight we have an update for 16-acre Legacy Park Municipal Complex from Ms. Emma Jones, our owner's rep from Stantec. So Emma, you're on the line.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Emma Jones with Stantec, owner's rep for the town of Cutler Bay. So I'm just going to give a quick recap of where we are in the process. So on July 11th, we received the final design development documents from Saltz Michelson, at which point we put a hold on the design team and asked them not to do any further designing until we evaluated from a price point where all of those documents came in. So August and September were spent reviewing the design elements with the various subject matter experts, so mechanical and plumbing and subcontractors that would perform those trades, along with the engineers to decide, if the systems were the most efficient and cost effective. In September, or the month of September, Kaufman Lynn, who is our contractor, prepared an updated project cost estimate based on these design development documents. And we received that updated project cost on the 8th of October. We have scheduled a mandatory in-person meeting for the whole project team on the 28th of October. And during this meeting, we will, the goal will be to get the project within range of the target budget. The recent design development, but the budget based, or the recent cost projection based on the design development documents is still outside an acceptable range. So we are going to work to walk through the documents, and then part of that meeting, we're going to break the scope into 2 pricing sections. One will be what would be called GMP 1, and that's going to be focused on the ARPA funds, and that will be the brownfield remediation, getting the site work ready, et cetera. And then GMP number 2 would be the rest of the project, so the vertical build at that point. In addition, we will look at the scope breakdowns to verify everything is included in each of the pricing, the scope pricing elements. In particular, we're very focused on the brownfield remediation and the rules and regulations that go along with that. And then another outcome of the meeting is for us to be able to look at possibly phasing the project based on cost estimates. And an example of that would be that phase A would be the park, the community center, and the pool, with phase B following behind, being the town hall, police station, and garage. So that completes my update.
Thank you, Emma. And again, I think, Mayor, our goal is to have the GMP portion number 1, which is all the site work and soil remediation, before the town council during our upcoming December 4th council meeting. That's our goal. and then we will continue to sharpen the pencil with the remainder. Thank you for that report, Emma. Next, we have an update from our Franjo Roadway Improvement Project. We have here tonight Ms. Janet Delgado from Kimley-Horn that provide us an update of the construction, the progress, and the public information aspect of the project. So, Janet?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Janet Delgado, Public Information Officer with Kimley-Horn. Gary Ritze is not going to be joining us this evening because unfortunately he had a loss in his family. So I am going to do my best to keep you updated on the construction on Franjo Road. So although we had a hiccup with Hurricane Milton, we were able to secure the site. Thank God there was no incident. And right away, they kept on chugging along and moving along with the project. The idea, construction-wise, the idea is to finish up the construction portion of Franjo in the first phase, maybe not completely, and leave the beautification part for afterwards. But the goal is to open up the street because of the local businesses and the school. So I've been working proactively, very closely with Good Learning, the Good Shepherd Learning, because we've had to make changes as to where to drop off and pick up the kids, because the construction is right across from the school. But it's been good. They're really, the parents have been wonderful and understanding. The school is open to whatever we have to do to make this work. We continue to have our weekly construction meetings to make sure that everything is going on the right path. Let's see what else I wanted to touch on. Nothing else. I mean, it's a hard situation for the businesses. They're excited because it looks like we're, heading in the right direction. At least they have a somewhat of a paved road in front of the market, in front of the barber shop. Something else that the town did, which I think was very effective, was the Alfredo Quintero had a Facebook ad, not an ad, but a disclosure about trying to help our local businesses, to visit them. There's a barber shop, there's a market, there's a cleaners, to help, because they claim that they've been affected somewhat, but they're looking forward to what's to come. And unless you have any questions for me, that's about it. And I look forward to seeing you next month. No questions?
Any questions? All right.
All righty.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you so much. And yeah, the board is there. You could see me with the market, and you could see everything that's being done on the road, construction-wise.
All right. Well, thank you for the update. We
Bye-bye.
appreciate
Good
it.
evening.
Thank you, Mayor. And next, we have an update on the Caribbean Boulevard Bridge from our friends from Miami-Dade County. Tonight, we have Mr. Alex Barres, the Assistant Director of Construction for Miami-Dade County Public Works Department. So I think Alex is joining us via Zoom. So if we could give him the floor. Alex?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Good evening. It's Alex Barres. I'm the Assistant Director over Construction for the Department of Transportation and Public Works. As for the Caribbean Boulevard Bridge, the current contractor, the previous contractor, We canceled the contract with them. We had some issues concerning the hardness of the rock and the material and their ability to perform in that area. So we've secured the site. The contractor is demobilized. We've canceled the contract. We've left up some permanent MLT devices. The future contract is in our procurement division. It should be advertising in the next 30 to 60 days, and we should be able to start construction hopefully in the next 6 to 9 months to start construction on the project again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you for keeping us abreast and your entire staff, yourself and Miguel Sawyer for all the work regarding Caribbean Boulevard Bridge, but also all support, and publicly thank you for the support on Franjo Road, because you guys played an integral role on Franjo Road. So thank you, Alex.
Oh, thank you. Anytime. Thank you.
Okay, next, Mayor, members of council, we have our friends from South Florida Water Management District to provide us a update on the Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands Phase 1. We have tonight Ms. Nicole Niemeyer here to make the presentation. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. Nicole Niemeyer with the South Florida Water Management District. It's a pleasure to be here to provide an update on the Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands Phase 1 project, specifically the Cutler Wetlands component. I work in our agency's Ecosystem Restoration Bureau and serve as the project manager for the project. And my colleague, Tehran Scriven from our Engineering Construction Bureau is here, and he'll be providing an update on the construction status as well. Okay, a high-level overview of the project. Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands, also known as BBCW, is a comprehensive Everglades restoration plan project. It was authorized by Congress in 2014, and it's comprised of 3 components. One is Deering Estate, the northernmost component there on the map to the right. That was actually constructed in advance of congressional authorization as part of what we refer to as an Accelerate program, where our agency kind of accelerated some of the comprehensive Everglades restoration plan projects. And then we have the Cutler Wetlands component, which is what we'll be focusing on here today. We started construction of the pump station late 2022 and construction of the remaining features earlier this year. And then the third component to the south is the L31E flowway. And the features within that flowway are in varying stages of construction, operational testing and monitoring, and operations and maintenance. But we'll be focusing again on Cutler Wetlands. The objectives of the BBCW Phase 1 project is to minimize point source discharges into Biscayne Bay, including Biscayne National Park. Oftentimes there's too much water delivered or not enough, so that impacts the salinity regimes within the bay. And so we want to minimize the point source discharges from our canals and coastal spillways and redistribute that water to the extent feasible to a more historical hydrologic regime and spread that water across the landscape. Another objective is reestablishing productive nursery habitat along the shoreline, preserving and restoring spatial extent of the natural coastline habitat, restoring saltwater wetland salinity regimes, and then finally the quantity, quality, timing, and distribution of fresh water into the bay, including Biscayne National Park. And then, although not a specific objective of the project, an ancillary benefit is obviously also resiliency, which is very important as well. So this is an image of the Cutler Wetlands project features. This specific component, the objective is to redirect water from the C1 canal so that it's not discharged as that point source discharge through our coastal structure, S20 along the C1 canal. And that water will be redirected by a pump station designated S701 into a flowway channel. And at Southwest 97th Avenue, there will be a culvert where the water can pass under the road, and the water will continue along east across the footprint of the project. And then at Southwest 87th Avenue, we have a feature referred to as a microtunnel, which is essentially a large pipe extending under the road. And then it'll distribute that water into the coastal wetlands into a spreader feature, which is the feature in yellow on the map and redistribute that water into the coastal wetlands to the east and then eventually into Biscayne Bay. And then to the right, there is a summary of the features. The pump station capacity is 400 cubic feet per second. And then we have the box culvert, as I had mentioned, the concrete line conveyance channel, the microtunnel, and the spreader feature. And then we also have some recreational features that I'll touch on at the end of the presentation. This is the project schedule. As I had mentioned earlier, we commenced construction of the pump station in late 2022 and the rest of the features earlier this year. Construction of the entire project should be completed around this time next year. This is an aerial image of the project. So you can see down at the bottom right there, the C1 canal, the S701 pump station will take water from the C1 canal, move it through that conveyance channel, through the project features, the culvert and microtunnel east into the coastal wetlands in Biscayne Bay through that spreader feature. And then my colleague Tehran is going to provide an update of the construction status of the various project features. So I'll hand it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tehran Scriven, Construction Manager for the Engineering and Construction Bureau. As my colleague Nicole said, it's a two-phase project and consisting of a pump station and the conveyance canal. So what we're looking at right now is an image of the S701 pump station. So the design feature of this is to draw water from the C1 canal, and it's going to pump it into our newly built conveyance channel that we're currently working on. As you can see, we've completed all of the underground work for this. We're currently working on the superstructure, which is the above ground work. And this is anticipated to be completed in the fall of 2025. Nicole kind of touched on it. The good thing about the conveyance channel, it has many interesting features. Like, for example, we have the box culvert. This allows us to move water across 97th Avenue and into the conveyance canal. I don't know if you guys have been there recently, but we've cleared a lot of vegetation. We're doing a lot of burning in that area in preparation for the work. We anticipate this, it's ongoing now, and we anticipate this to be completed in early 2025. The main feature of the phase 2 project is a conveyance canal. This is not going to be like a typical canal you guys are used to seeing. It's going to be concrete lined. And it's going to also have some recreational features included in the design. And so currently right now, just south of the Isles of Bayshore development, we've cleared all of that vegetation back there. And we're currently installing levee fill for our embankments of the canal. We also are digging all of our material from back there. So if you ever drive back there, you may see a stockpile of material and just a lot of construction traffic ongoing. We also have closed 97th Avenue temporarily to allow us to build this canal and the box culvert. The third feature, which is a very unique feature, is the microtunnel. So on 97th Avenue, we decided to use a culvert, but on 87th Avenue, we're going to use a microtunnel feature. So this is going to avoid us from having to close that road and disrupt any traffic for the town of Cutler Bay. And this is very unique. It's going to be like this is a key part of the project. This is not done a lot in Miami. So this was something that we wanted to do. And what this is going to do is transfer that water from the conveyance canal into the spreader canal that Nicole mentioned. So, and I'm going to get to the last slide. And this is the case of a lot of chatter online. I know you guys have seen a lot of vegetation cleared near Mater Bay. We're not building a hotel. It's not Lennar. So what we're doing is we're actually building a spreader canal, which she mentioned. And what that's going to do is rehydrate the coastal wetlands. So that native vegetation back there is going to get the water that it needs. The native species back there are going to live again. So this is really an environmental and a infrastructural project. But not to worry, we also have a recreational feature, and Nicole is going to tell you guys all about it.
Okay, so for the recreational features on the west side of Southwest 97th Avenue, we'll have a bird blind, which is essentially a bird viewing area for recreational activities. So visitors can enjoy bird viewing over the Cutler Wetlands Preserve, which the town has received a grant and matching a grant to restore that area to complement our project. There'll also be a crosswalk and a parking area, a bike rack, a pavilion, some restroom facilities, and that's all on the west side of Southwest 97th Avenue. And then to the east, we will have a bike path that will run along the south side of the conveyance feature and then connect to the existing bike path along Southwest 87th Avenue. We're also going to have fencing around the project site. Illegal dumping is a problem in this area, so the fencing hopefully should discourage and prohibit that. And that's the conclusion of our presentation. We would be happy to take any questions you may have.
Very exciting. I'm really happy about it. You know, sitting on the Biscayne Bay Water Advisory Committee, knowing that we have some restoration over in that area is really going to help the bay a lot. So I'm excited about this. Any other comments or questions from the council? No? So, Councilman Lohr, you're recognized.
Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much for that presentation. It was great and very informative. I actually went by the site today knowing that we were going to have this presentation, and wow, like it's fast. You guys are doing a lot of work very fast. I want you to confirm that the vegetation that's been removed has been exotic vegetation and not mangroves. We've had a lot of chatter about that.
Primarily, there are impacts to mangroves, but it was permitted by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and Miami-Dade County.
Fantastic. I have had calls from Mater Bay parents who were concerned about the vegetation that was coming out. So thank you for the permitting information. I was wondering if there is a way that we can get this presentation to this Mater Bay school, to Principal Cruz, maybe through the town manager. The parents were really interested in seeing it, and I don't know how many actually tune into our meetings or come in person to them. So if that's something we could do, that would be great. I wanted to point out that we have heavy student involvement in our environmental issues in town. And so it's very exciting that we have a $30 million project right here. I think that we have our Coast Cutler Bay Middle School Academy with Principal Para, the Coast Cutler Bay Senior High School Academy with Principal Delatorre, and of course, Mater Bay Environmental Academy with Principal Cruz. We just had a coastal cleanup, and many of those students came to it along with our Senator Calatayud, who was here earlier, and Rick Ramirez and myself, Councilmember Ramirez. Hundreds of students and parents came out. That's how deep the involvement in the environment in this town is. And I mention all that. We also collectively, from all the sites throughout Dade County, collected over 250,000 pounds of trash out of our canal systems and our waterways. So I'm very proud of our involvement with that. And I'm coming to a conclusion. With all of that said, and this being right here in our town and such a magnificent project, I'm hoping that at the end, when it's safe, we can maybe organize some field trips for these students to come and see firsthand the magnificent work you're doing for these wetlands.
Yeah, we would love to do that. In fact, for the Deering Estate component that's completed, there's an educational component of that, some educational wetlands. And so there's ongoing field trip programs and so forth, but we would love to extend that to the Cutler Wetlands component.
That would be
And
fantastic.
I've actually had students call me. Mater Bay Academy had a media contest recently. One of the students reached out to me and interviewed me because they had a lot of interest in the project and wanted to know what's going on. And I actually worked with the construction team and said, we should probably put up a sign to let people know what it is. So, you know, there's not all that chatter online, people, making assumptions, and to reassure them that it's something positive.
Right.
And our agency partnered with the county last year. You may be familiar with the economic study that was completed for Biscayne Bay. If you're not, I'd be happy to send you a link to that. But the results of the study demonstrated that Biscayne Bay contributes $64 billion annually to the local economy here. Jobs, residential values, and so forth. And so there's been a lot of interest in the project, but this is just going to further contribute to that and the health of Biscayne Bay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Start a new room. It's not a hotel, it's 64 pickleball. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. I also like to take a moment of personal privilege and recognize Armando Villaboy, from Miami, South Florida Water Management District. Thank you, Armando. Thank you that we didn't have to go to the lock and see you during hurricane, the recent hurricane there. So, but great partners. You can see the relationship we have with our friends from South Florida Water Management District. Thank you, Nicole. Briefly, Mayor, Members, Council, some brief announcements. October 22nd, Tuesday at 6:30, we're hosting the State of the Town Address. This year's theme, Resilient Roots, Thriving Future. So folks invited to attend. We're also teaming up with one of our grant recipients from our foundation, Philanthropy Miami. We're hosting a Spark Summit where we're going to talk about nonprofits and voices in the Deep South Miami-Dade County. We're going to host that here in our council chambers on Friday, November the 8th from 9:30 to 2 o'clock. Again, that's something that we wanted to get a lot of the grassroots nonprofits in Deep South Dade and get them to come up and ask a lot of questions. We have a great panelist there. That promotional item is going to be coming out pretty soon here in the next couple of days. November 11th, or Monday, November 11th at 9 a.m., we're hosting the Veterans Day breakfast here in our council chambers as well. So that's very popular, attended. And lastly, speaking of, restoration environment, we're having another restoration environmental cleanup and our restoration area on Oak Cutler and 184 on Saturday, November the 16th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So thank you, our partners for South Florida Water Management, because we work hand in hand in all the different coast academies that Councilmember Lord mentioned. So hopefully another successful day there in November, good weather there. So Mayor, Members of Council, that completes my report.
All right, thank you very much, Ralph. I do appreciate that. A lot of good updates. All right, that takes us to our town attorney's report. Roger, sir.
No report, but a pleasure to be here.
All right, great. All right, it takes us to our town clerk's report.
Just a few things. We're getting closer to election time, so we won't be meeting until after the election at this point. The deadline to request a vote by mail ballot is next Thursday, October 24th. As we all know, the law had changed, so now if you want one, you have to request one yearly. So that will be next Thursday, October 24th is the deadline. Early voting begins on Monday, October 21st, and that'll run through Sunday, November 3rd. Polls will be open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The locations can be found on the Miami-Dade County elections website. They have a list of that. And the general election obviously will be taking place Tuesday, November 5th. Polls open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Make sure to check your voter's registration for your polling place for election day. There's a lot of things on the ballot, not just our one race and the two questions. So if you do go to the elections department, you can plug in your name and your birth date, and you can get your sample ballot for your area with everything that will be on the ballot for you. And that's my update.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, that takes us to our consent agenda. Are there any items to be pulled?
I have a question.
Okay, Councilman Vice Mayor Callahan.
On item 5G, adoption of the final master plan for Coastal Ridge Preserve, shouldn't this have been a regular agenda item for final presentation versus consent adoption?
Members of Council, we can, the consultants here, we could simply bring that under the resolution. If you like one more time that we can make the presentation, we have Nick Perez from Stantec, and we're prepared for that. So absolutely, we could accommodate that request.
Yeah, then I'm going to pull the item because I remember that we weren't 100% on the last presentation. So I'll pull 5G for final presentation and adoption.
All right, 5G is pulled. Any other pulls? All right, looking for motion for approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Callahan, looking for a second.
Second.
And we have a second by Councilwoman Lord. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, on the consent agenda, we did have two appointments, which we'd like to recognize. One is to our Education Advisory Committee, which is my appointment, which was Marilyn Horn. Marilyn, if you could please come forward for a moment.
Good evening.
Good evening. So, Marilyn, I know you've been an educator in Cutler Bay for a long time, so I just want to, if you just briefly tell the council just who you are and
Well, looking around, I see a lot of familiar faces. I'm Marilyn Horn. I've been a resident for 38 years in the same home, the home that Tim Meerbot was raised in, actually.
Yeah.
And I just retired from Wigan Elementary School. I'm looking forward to maybe giving back to this community that gives so much to its residents, from public works, parks, all of the special events you all put on. Ralph, who runs this town, like state of the art, something I haven't seen ever, a town run so smoothly. Anything you need, it's here. So as I retired, I wanted to find a way to maybe contribute to this fine council in this town. So using my experience with education, I thought that might work. I saw an opening and Mauricio was helpful in helping me to apply, and I appreciate it.
All right, we're going to appreciate your service.
Thank you very much. Nice to see everybody.
Councilman Ramirez, you also have an appointment?
Yes, we do. We have actually, I had her name and I don't have it right here, but her first name is Gail. She is occupying the at-large position. We did have a youth council meeting last night. Got a chance to meet her. Very, very lovely young lady. And I think she's going to be a great addition to the youth council, and I'm looking forward to her involvement.
All right, is she here tonight?
We invited her, but she had something already scheduled.
All right,
so
that's
she's not
fine.
gonna be able to
That's
be
fine. All right, thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to, let's see. Put my glasses back on. There are some papers here. Sorry about that, guys.
Are you going to take 5G at the end of the meeting?
We'll take it at the, yeah, we'll take 5G at the end of the meeting.
Oh.
Okay. So let's go ahead. Actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and take that item up right now. Generally, I like to wait till the end, but we have some other issues. So, Mauricio, if you could read item 5G, please.
Resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, adopting the final master plan design for the town's 8.5 acre coastal ridge preserve and providing for an effective date.
All right, Vice Mayor Callahan, you pulled this item. Give you the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just waiting on the consultant. I pulled the item because I just wanted the final resolution on the master plan. And if there's any additional comments from the council as opposed just to approving on consent. I do know that there was some questions at the last meeting, and just want to give the consultant opportunity to do the final presentation and answer any additional questions.
Yeah. In fact, Mayor, members of council, if we can, I know Mauricio, I saw a glimpse of it there. Can we pull up the presentation that we did, during the council workshop, and Nick Perez from Stantec is here. He could just, use that as a foundation, because the last slide is the final master plan there. So that'll probably help guide
And Vice Mayor, if you could you, what specific questions if you want to address, rather than go through the entire presentation, or?
Correct. He doesn't need to go to the final. Can you go to the final plot?
Yeah, the final page, right. Sorry.
Yeah, evening council members. I'm Nick Perez with Stantec. I'm your project manager for this project. And I'm super happy that we don't need to keep calling it the 8.5 acre project, and it actually has a name now. So happy for that. Coastal Ridge Preserve. So you saw this last month, so I'll go through it quickly.
Well, Nick, can you just go to the last slide?
Last slide.
Yeah, the last slide that shows the final conceptual plan. I think we could just focus on that, because
Sure. So here's the final concept that the team came up with after extensive public input from the community and stakeholders. Talking through the design, just imagine yourself coming in from the southern end where you see that parking lot. As you go up the walkway, you would see the first pavilion. That what we hear from the community and you all and stakeholder is that people really want to see some kind of educational component. So we'd imagine that pavilion has some kind of programming feature that, outdoor classrooms, signage that educate people about the, wildlife and the flora and fauna in the area. As you progress up the path, what we heard from residents was the idea of having two different types of habitat, where on the left side, that's on relatively higher ground, there would be some kind of pine rockland habitat. And on the right, as the ground slopes down towards those wetlands, it'd be more of a hardwood hammock type habitat. So progressing up, you see towards the middle of the site on the east viewing platform, the vision is for that to align with the comprehensive Everglades restoration plan, where there would be some kind of feeder canal that would connect to just below that, and there'd be a feeder canal that feeds into the freshwater into the wetlands. So we see that as being an additional educational feature there, where people can see, the environmental benefits of these projects taking place right before them. So progressing further up the site, you see another pavilion. This could be, another educational feature, outdoor classroom. More recently, ideas were circulating around a possible bat house that could potentially be at that location or elsewhere. It's all, very flexible right now. This is still, it's still at the conceptual stage, so it could continue to evolve in the future. So, plenty of flexibility there. And then as you progress through, there's a secondary entrance and exit that allows you to either, exit out onto Old Cutler and continue on your bike ride or your walking or run, or circle back towards the parking lot. Any questions or?
Vice Mayor, you had a question?
Yes, I have comments. So on the agenda, it's adopting the final master plan. Okay, and obviously with what we're presenting here, it says draft. And in the presentation, there's a lot of we thinks, could be's, might be's, we heard be, that we cannot have that in a final concept master plan, right? So and that was my concern and the reason I pulled the item, okay? So if we're going to have a hardwood hammock, then identify, this is going to be a hardwood hammock, this is going to be a pine rockland, right? This is going to be an educational pavilion. This is going to be a bat house, right? We owe our residents on a final design plan, we owe our residents more of concrete of what we think it's going to be, right? And unfortunately, this happens so many times where we say things and it gets out into the public and it doesn't happen, or they get misconceptions, because right now it's, well, we think, and then we adopt this under the we think, and then when we go to build it, it's nowhere near what we originally adopted. So I would feel more comfortable, I don't know about the rest of the council, but I would feel more comfortable deferring this, right? And coming back with more concrete, this is what it's going to be. This is going to be a bat house, right? This is going to be an educational facility. That way we have the ability to present that and adopt that, to our residents. So there's not a lot of ambiguity in what we adopt and what is finally presented.
Yeah, and just to backtrack, I might have sounded more vague than I intended, but we do have specific elements identified on the site plan, and we don't intend to change any of the programming elements. What could morph in the future is the actual design. It might not be an exact linear walking path. It might be more of a loop. But our intent is to preserve all the programming features that have been presented.
No, understood. And that's not what I'm talking about, right? So a path that straight or meanders is not an issue, right? But it's showing an educational pavilion and then us adopting an educational pavilion and down the road it becomes a bat house. That is a concern, right? If we're going to have a bat house, let's have a bat house. I'm not against a bat house. I'm just saying, those are the types of elements that I feel that should be more concrete in the final master plan adoption.
Ralph?
Yeah, if I can have Mauricio put the final conceptual plan back up on the screen, if it'll probably be easier, because I just want to make sure, because I understand the concerns, Vice Mayor, but I could tell you, for example, that educational pavilion house there, that's on the southern part, will be an educational pavilion house. That'll, a pavilion there. The only discussion that we had since our last workshop with the council was for the pavilion to the north, which is adjacent to the the Wassa pump station there. That second one there to the north, the educational, what we call it, just a recreation pavilion, right? We did have some discussions with our friends from Zoo Miami, Ron McGill, and some of the bat experts there, that we were thinking about introducing a possible bat house there. In fact, we don't even know if it's going to work or not, because they are going to be putting little monitors out there to see if there's even bats around, and they're even concerned about the low frequency, believe it or not, of the low frequency noise, I guess, that we can't even hear from the pump station that's even going to attract the bats there. So it's one of those that, hey, we kind of threw it out there. There was a lot of momentum. We spoke to the folks that actually set up the bat house in Gainesville, Florida, and University of Florida, and they weren't even sure if it's going to work unless, first of all, it's like, well, are there any bats out there? Well, let's go find out. Let's go put some monitoring out there. So if anything there would change, mayor members of council would be that recreational pavilion on the top that we are exploring the possibility of a bat house there. And if that is the case, if it's going to work, then we will, bring that back and to change that. But in terms of like the hardwood, camel, pinewood features there, those are already been identified there in the plan. Now, is it going to be exactly there? Obviously, it's conducive to the dirt and fill that's there, but that's probably going to be the only thing that's going to change from that aspect. In terms of that northern pavilion, is it going to be a pavilion or is it going to be potential bat house?
Okay, that provides clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I apologize. I should have put that on the regular agenda, but I think Stantec has done a great job. We talked to a lot of the stakeholders here that were there that actually talked about having one separation there. That actual path there actually serves as almost like a fire separation line, right? But then talking to the folks from Durham, that looks good in concept, but it might be too close to some of those houses on Old Cutler Glen to do a burn there. But the concept there, we know it's going to be the one single path. It's going to be all the projects going to be entirely ADA. So if anything there, and I'm going to put, Nick on the spot. I mean, has that been your feedback from other outputs there? I mean, the only thing that might change is that bat house there, possibly?
Yeah, correct. All the elements that you see identified in the plan, the pavilion, the different types of habitat, everything that's identified, that's to remain. The only thing that might change is just, the physical design of the site.
And Ralph, I realize that, again, we can always improve upon this site plan, which, the bat house kind of came up recently when, we're talking with Ron Miguel. I was like, hey, why not? And I'm like, so these are great creative ideas, which are, all of them are with the environment in mind. And, we have the basic plans, I think, which kind of, in my mind, outlines exactly what we want. Doesn't prohibit us from adding the bat house at a later point. Where it goes, I don't know. I'm not the expert in that area.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or concerns on that? Councilman Ramirez.
Is the reason that we have the informational pavilion by the parking lot is more of an introduction thing as opposed to maybe swapping the purpose of those two huts?
Yeah, we'd imagine that most people would be entering through that south side where the parking lot is. So we figured that would be a nice entry feature to the park. So, we wanted that educational feature to be, the most prominent thing as you enter. So.
Okay, just wanted to verify that. So,
and I think Mayor Members Council, once we get to the point that if that area is conducive for a potential bat house, we'll come back and report that to the council. We'll report that to council because I think that, we're really excited about that because that's going to have a different element there as well. I mean, we're talking about a possible bat house there. When I spoke to the folks that designed the one from Gainesville, we'll talk about putting a little live webcam there. It's going to draw more attention to that park. And that's what we've been talking about. That's part of the education part. In fact, we're trying to see if we can capture some of those bonneted bats, that every time you hear us say that, when you see us do a FDOT project or lab project or any type of federal funding, you have to do a bonneted bat study to make sure there's no bonneted bats there. So think about this. Now we're introducing them back. So we got to see, but everybody's real excited about it. And again, I don't want to get everybody's hopes up because we get that low frequency sound there, but any change we will bring back to the council, Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much.
But thank you for the comments. But yes, I just want to be clear for that record because I know that you're absolutely right, Vice Mayor. There some maybe could be. No. These are the Pineland Rocklands, and that's going to be the determination site. Thank you.
Right. Vice Mayor, you are asking for us to deferral. It was my opinion that would move forward. Are you still recommending?
No, I'm not going to, motion for deferral. I'll motion, to accept 5G.
All right, we have a motion to accept. Looking for a second.
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Ramirez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. That takes us to our quasi judicial hearing. So Roger, if you want to read the opening statement, And I have a question for you. We have three items on this which are all similar. Can we all take these all at the same time?
Yes, you can take them all at the same time, but you'll vote on them individually.
Okay, all right.
All right.
You want to read the
Absolutely. So this is the quasi judicial public hearing notice. Please be advised that the following items on the agenda, 6A, 6B, and 6C, are quasi judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the agenda item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi judicial item is made. An opportunity to speak on each agenda item will be afforded to individuals after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to be either cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request that the council ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item, the town code of ordinances, and the town comprehensive plan is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak on behalf of that organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. Any lobbyists must register before addressing the council on any of the quasi-judicial items. Real quick, a disclosure on pre-hearing transactions as well. Pursuant to section 2-237 of the Town Code of Ordinances, all applicants are required to disclose on the record whether any consideration, monetary or otherwise, has been paid or offered to or required by any person or entity in exchange for any promise or agreement to support, oppose, or refrain from supporting or opposing any quasi-judicial agenda item or application. The disclosure shall include the person or entity to which such consideration was paid or offered or by which such request was made, whether the consideration was received, and the position such person or entity agreed or promised to take. At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any quasi-judicial agenda items.
Yeah, please stand.
Also, Mr. Clerk, if we could have Jared and anyone who's online who will also be sworn in visible on the screen.
All right, anybody wishing to speak on this item, please rise.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give is the truth to the best of your knowledge and belief? Thank you.
All right, Mauricio, if you could please read the title for all three items for me, please.
6A, a resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, granting final plat approval for Southplace City Center West for property located at 20701 Alapata Road as legally described in Exhibit A on approximately 13.27 acres and providing for an effective date. 6B, a resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, granting final plat approval for Southplace City Center East for property located at 20519 South Dixie Highway as legally described in Exhibit A on approximately 10.21 acres and providing for an effective date. 6C, a resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, granting final plat approval for Southplace City Center for property located at 20505 South Dixie Highway as legally described in Exhibit A on approximately 74.95 acres and providing for an effective date. These items were previously deferred per the September 24th, 2024 second budget hearing to a date certain of today, October 16th, 2024 regular town council meeting.
Thank you very much. Ralph, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I think if we could have Dr. Jared Munster present the items, our Community Development Director. You got him on its panels. And also, I think, Jared, can we get you on the record as being sworn in as well? I think your mic was muted.
Jared, are you there, sir? We can almost heard you. Try that again. Are you there? Jared, we do not hear you. I see you're unmuted, but we're not hearing you right now.
Let's try this.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, not sure why that wasn't working. Yes, I apologize, and I was there, and I do so affirm for the oath.
All right, thank you. Continue.
The applications before the council this evening are 3 separate applications for final plat approval on the site currently occupied by the Southland Mall. These plats are identified as Southplace City Center, Southplace City Center West, and Southplace City Center East. Generally, the West plat is on the former site of Sears. The East plat is the area occupied by the former Kmart building that houses Ross. And the Southplace City Center plat is the largest, comprising the balance of the site. With respect to the East plat, please note that the title indicated the area of the site as 10.21 acres. However, the actual site measures 9.74 acres. We have confirmed with the town attorneys that the application can proceed as the actual site area is less than that advertised. The purpose of the replatting process is to ensure legal boundaries of land correspond to orderly development in furtherance of the adopted master plan and zoning regulations of the town. Platting review is a multi-step, multi-agency review process. Applications begin with the town as a tentative plat. Those are reviewed administratively by the town for compliance with the town's codes, and once we have determined compliance, the process moves to the county for review by their plat committee. Once tentative approval is granted by the county, the application returns to the town for final review and approval, which is what is before the council this evening. Once approved here, the plat will return to the county to complete the process. As part of the review, proposed development is reviewed to ensure an adequate supply of utilities and services to the proposed development. As the council is aware, the mall property, the former Sears, and the Macy's store were purchased by a single entity in 2022 with the goal of redeveloping the site into approximately 5,000 dwelling units in a mixed-use environment that will essentially create a walkable, pedestrian-oriented city within a city. Development in the town center, when compliant with the town's regulations, is subject to administrative review by community development. To date, the town has reviewed and approved 4 new development blocks, 3 of which are mixed-use residential commercial buildings, which contain nearly 1,200 dwelling units, approximately 30,000 square feet for a full-service grocer, numerous other commercial tenant spaces, and a standalone parking garage to absorb parking for the existing retail spaces and to allow redevelopment of the existing surface parking lots that surround the mall. The 3 plat applications before the council this evening have been reviewed for consistency with the requirements of Article 12 of the town's land development regulations, Section 28.8 of the county code, and state law. Notice of tonight's hearing was published in the Miami Herald on September 13th, 2024, in advance of the September 24th council meeting, where these items were originally scheduled to be heard. Courtesy notices were mailed on September 18th to 124 property owners within 1,000 feet of the site, and signs were posted at the site as well. These items referred to today's meeting at the September 24th town council meeting. The applicants are present and can provide additional information if requested.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. We also have supporting our community development director, we have Catherine Lyons from the Cordina Group. You know, on this kind of, we're here just in case. But we also have the applicant here. We're represented by their attorney, Keith Polikoff, and we have Ron Gather there from the ownership group there as well to answer any questions. All right, President.
I don't know if you'd like us to address or not, but Keith Polikoff, for the record, attorney for the applicant, have been sworn in, and we did do our disclosures in accordance with your requirements. Here with me, as your manager mentioned, is Ron Gaither, who's Executive Vice President of Electra America, American Landmark Apartments, and Guillermo Zagri, our project manager, is in the back as well. Rarely do we have the opportunity to come before the council. That's why I actually just wanted to come and introduce ourselves, because although we view the municipality, the town, as our development partner, we do everything in concert with your amazing staff, amazing city manager, amazing community development director. Because we're doing the project as of right, meaning we're not seeking anything different than the code provides, we never have the opportunity to come before you and to introduce ourselves to the members of the public. We were required to plat the property because although Sears was originally platted, The other parcels were not. And in order to develop the property, we had to plat because in order to get financing, each of those development nodes, the blocks that Jared mentioned, need to be owned by a different entity, a single purpose LLC, in order to get financing. And we weren't allowed to do that until the property was platted, which sort of pushed us back a little bit in time frame. Our first block, which will be developed, is known as Block 12, and that will start construction in December. We're fully online to start that first. Then we're moving to what we call Block 1, which is around the horn for us. A lot of the problems that are associated with the development, it sounds like 2 years is a long time. A lot of the tenants there had multi-year long-term leases, and it requires tremendous coordination on moving them and having them agree to move from site to site as we develop and pay substantial infrastructure costs in order to get them to move to a new location. So we've been playing tenant swapping locations while we're going through the development process. We're incredibly excited to get started. Electra America owns over 34,000 apartments. So this is not a small undertaking. This is, part of their portfolio of apartments across the United States. And we're excited to be here and look forward to being your partner for a very long time and getting this site developed. And we can't thank your management enough and your mayor and council for supporting us along the way.
Thank you, Keith. All right. I'm going to open up the floor for public comments at this time on all three of these items. If any wishing to speak on this item, public comments is now open. There are none in the auditorium. Is there anybody online?
No one in the queue.
All right, public comments for these three items are now closed. Roger, would you recognize her?
Just one final thing, since this is a quasi judicial item, if anyone on this council has had any ex parte communications, please just enter them into the record.
All right, is anybody needs to disclose this? All right, let the record show. Nobody is just making any disclosures. So I'll open up to the council for questions or concerns. As there are none, we're going to address each item. I'm looking for a motion on item 6A. I need a motion to move forward.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilman Lord, looking for a second.
Second.
We have a second by Vice Mayor Callahan. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lord,
Yes.
Councilmember Duncan,
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Yes.
Mayor Marbot.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, now we're item 6B. Again, looking for a motion to move forward.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilman Duncan and looking for a second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lord. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Duncan,
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Yes.
Councilmember Lord,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Yes.
Mayor Marbot.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, looking for a motion on item 6C.
So moved.
A motion by Councilman Ramirez, looking for a second.
I second.
Second by Councilman Lord. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Yes.
Councilmember Lord,
Yes.
Councilmember Duncan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Yes.
Mayor Marbot.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. All right, before we move on to our ordinances, next ordinance, I'm gonna again open the floor for public comments. General public comments now. Anybody wishing to speak, please come forward. There are none. Closing public comments. Anybody in the queue? Sorry. We do have one for public comments. All right, come forward. Please identify yourself. Give your name and your address, please.
Good evening, Stephen Leidner, 1130 102nd Street, Bay Harbor Islands. I've come a long way. I am a member of the Sierra Club. I am the conservation chair, and I appreciate this community's environmental sensibilities and sensitivities. And the reason I'm here tonight is because of a looming threat that I'm sure you're all aware of, which is Dade County's plans to build the largest incinerator in the country. They will be processing over 4,000 tons of trash a day, which will result in the equivalent of 4,000 tons of CO2 being emitted into the atmosphere. Of course, there will be other impacts in terms of the ash that the incinerator produces and the impacts to our aquifer. There is an alternative, and that is an umbrella of solutions called zero waste, which is municipal solid waste diversion. Composting alone will reduce the waste stream by 50 to 70%. So the reason I'm here is because I'm hoping I can engage an individual council member or the entire council in pushing back in terms of Dade County's pursuit of this incinerator. And also the fact that they're pitting one community against another in their plans to build this incinerator. Any takers?
Yeah, we don't engage. If you want to reach out to us individually, we have, you can reach us Monday through Friday through our staff.
Could you repeat that, Mayor Bott?
Generally don't engage during our council meeting, but reach out to any of the staff during our regular office hours. So our staff can address each individual on responding to your request.
Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening, council members. My name is Amanda DiPerna, and my address is 11900 Southwest 188th Street. And unfortunately, I don't officially live in Cutler Bay. I'm just a few streets over, but I really do hope to one day call Cutler Bay home, especially due to your wonderful commitment to sustainability and conservation. And I'm here to kind of echo the remarks that Stephen just gave in regards to encouraging the town of Cutler Bay to adopt a resolution against the construction of an incinerator. I am the program manager for Debris Free Oceans, and we are a local nonprofit whose mission is to empower Miami-Dade communities to go zero waste. And so one of the ways we do that is through education and cleanups, which I'm really excited to have heard tonight that you all have engaged in, and would love to also chat later about coordinating some cleanups with you all. But today the focus is on the incinerator, and I just wanted to state how the construction of a new incinerator would adversely affect the residents of the entire Miami-Dade County, no matter where they live, because this incinerator would impact our air, water, and soil. And so anywhere where it is on county land, it will eventually make its way to us. And in Miami, we're a very trashy city. We generate 10.8 pounds of trash per person per day, compared to the average American, which is only 5 pounds. And so if we construct a new incinerator, we're going to be incentivizing our residents to continue being this trashy, but really we should stop the production from the source, stop producing so much single-use items, and focus on scaling reuse, which is what my nonprofit strives to achieve. And so we have a coalition called Zero Waste Miami, which is a cross-sector coalition that I'd love to send more information to get the town of Cutler Bay to join. We've been launching this since January, and we've already been engaging more than 100 people from over 75 institutions, which is showing like how ready Miami is to build circularity and scale reuse, and how we don't need to move to linearity as an incinerator would. So thank you so much.
Very much. Anybody else wishing to speak at this time? No? Is there anybody in the queue?
No one in the queue.
All right, public comments is now closed. Let's take us to item 10A.
An ordinance of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, amending chapter 18, floodplain management of the town code of ordinances to add and amend definitions and regulations relating to floodplain management and floodplain resistant development standards, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this is our second reading on this item. I think it's already been introduced. This is brought forward by Vice Mayor Callahan. Is any additional comments?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Again, before you, second reading on amending chapter 18 of the floodplain management ordinance. Just a couple of things. One, there were some changes to the original ordinance that were mandated by the state of Florida. It's just really wording to make sure that we're consistent with Florida Building Code and Florida state statutes, section 553.734 and section 553.735. In addition to that, I just want, before we adopt this, I just want to provide real quickly some clarification on what this adoption and these changes actually means. There seems to be some confusion within the community. We are changing our current threshold for cumulative substantial improvement from 44% to 49%. Right, so that is the threshold in where your substantial improvements compared to the market value of your house, right, where you would have to become in compliance. 49%. Now, what that means is usually if there's a catastrophic issue to your house and you have to rebuild your house, and those costs exceed 49% of the market value, you would be required to bring your house up 1 foot above the floodplain map, which is determined by FEMA. There's also, if you do improvements to your home over a year's period of time, all right? And the second change to this is that in our current ordinance, that period of time is over 5 years. So it's a cumulative over 5 years, then after 5 years, it starts over again. We're changing that to 1 year, right? So there's substantial improvements, right? After each year, that value starts over again. So there seems to be some confusion where, well, I've done some windows, I've done a roof, now I'm getting close to that 49%. I have to bring my house up to current code. And that's not necessarily true. What that does is it may delay you a year from putting that new roof on if in fact you're close to that 49%. Just because you come close to that 49% does not mean that at that point in time you have to bring your house up to current code. It's just if your house was destroyed and the value of rebuilding it is greater than 49%, then you would have to bring it up. So I just want to make that clarity, between doing improvements and a catastrophic event to an individual's home. And I think those are the points that I wanted to touch on just prior to adoption. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Councilman Lord, you're recognized.
Thank you. As co-sponsor of this, I worked closely with the town manager in preparation of the ordinance. And as a paralegal, it was very important to me that I receive current numbers, and I asked for them. And as of June 27th, we received numbers from FEMA with regard to the homes in our town that are covered by flood insurance. Currently, there's 5,671 flood policies in effect in the town. With our CRS 3 rating, that provides a savings to each household of $523 a year, which is significant to most household incomes, and a total of over $2.9 million savings to town residents and townhomes. And I'm quite proud of that, and I just wanted to share that.
Any other comments? No. All right, there's no further comments. I'm going to open this up floor for public hearing on this. Anybody wants to speak on this item, please come forward. Is there anybody in the queue?
No one in the queue.
Public hearing is now closed. Looking for a motion on this item.
Motion to approve 10A.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Callen. Look for a second.
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Lord. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lord?
Yes.
Councilmember Duncan?
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Callahan?
Yes.
Mayor Mierbot?
Yes.
Passes.
All right, that takes us to item 11A.
A resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, selecting Tyler Technologies, Inc. as software firm for integrated enterprise software solutions pursuant to request for proposal RFP number 24-03, providing for authorization and providing for an effective date.
Ralph, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is an item that we've been discussing regarding our entire enterprise program. So what's that mean? Is our entire software system, as we call it. It's like calling it enterprise one. But we went out to a bidding process. We had a selection panel comprised of Jared Musser, Community Development Director, Robert DiDario, our Finance Director, and Mauricio Milano, our Town Clerk as well. So we're also planning to use ARPA funds for this project as well. What we're requesting tonight is authorizing, the selection, the ranking of the top 2 firms. We had 3 firms, and we shortlisted it to the top 2 firms, authorizing myself to negotiate down the fees. Because as you see there, it's over $1 million worth of software fees compared to the number 2 vendor, which is nearly $600,000. So one of the things we're doing tonight is just making sure that we get that authorization. And since we're using ARPA funds, that's the purpose of having that December 4th meeting. We are going to, if able to negotiate, use those ARPA funds to bring it back to the council with a contract on December the 4th. That's what this resolution does.
Yeah. All right. Any questions or concerns on this? Ralph, thank you for taking the time to explain this to me ahead of time as well. If there are further questions, looking for a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor
Vice
Callahan,
Mayor.
and looking for a second.
I second.
I'm looking for a second by Councilman Lord. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item 11B, please.
A resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, selecting SFM Landscape Services LLC for parks, landscape, and grounds maintenance services pursuant to request for proposal RFP number 24-05, providing for authorization and providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you. Ralph again, sir.
Okay, Mayor, members of council, this is another item that went through the bidding process. We had a selection panel comprised of our Parks Director, Etienne Bejarano, our Parks Operations Manager, Alan Hughes, and our Public Works Director, Alfredo Quintero. We went through the ranking process. We're not using ARPA funds for this. This is our regular town budget fund. This is for our landscape company that we outsource our parks maintenance. This is also authorizing me to negotiate with the number one bidder, ranked bidder. And if I cannot complete the negotiations, then move on to the next highest ranked bidder. This one, there was a contract attached to it, so there's no need to come back to the town council like we've done in the past, is that authorizing me to negotiate and with the first, and if not successfully negotiate, come back to the second bidder.
Council, any questions, concerns? All right. And then seeing, looking for a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilman Duncan, looking for a second.
I second.
Second by Councilman Lord. All in favor, say aye.
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 Passes. Brings us to item 11C.
A resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, approving the agreement of sale and assignment of Florida Voluntary Cleanup Tax Credits, VCTC, to transfer the town's voluntary cleanup tax credits to Public Supermarkets, Inc., providing for authorization and providing for an effective date.
Sir.
Thank you, members of council. This is an item that I put on here regarding the VCTCs regarding, you hear a lot of talk about us doing the environmental cleanup and mediation on our 16-acre legacy park. I wanted to highlight that because we've done a great job that the state actually authorized and approved our last year's expenses of over $113,000. So the way that it'll work is that automatically once you get that approval, the voluntary tax cleanup credits are 50% of it, which is 56,000 and some change there. Gets approved by the state, and we can go ahead and sell those. We have an existing agreement with Publix to purchase those at 90 cents on a dollar. So what's that mean is that we are awarded $56,000. We get 90% of that back in cash from Publix, an amount of $51,000. The remaining 50% is when the entire brownfield area is completely redeveloped. That's the hook that FDP has, right? Then we'll get those remaining funds. So that's the reason why I want to draw that to attention, because that's something that I know that we've spoken in the past about trying to get reimbursed and putting that back in the kitty, as the vice mayor says, bringing that back into the kitty. So I just wanted to highlight that. I know that our environmental legal attorney, Michael Goldstein, he was going to be online. I don't think he's online yet because he had another conflict with another community meeting, but he sends his regards. But I just want to say, kudos to that team that putting that together. So again, we'll continue to do that every year. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ralph. And again, thank you. We've addressed this many times. So I think it's well explained, but does the council have any questions or concerns with this? All right, I'm looking for a motion for approval. We have a motion by Councilman Ramirez for a second.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Callahan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Again, Ralph, somebody mentioned it to you again. I guess Marilyn Horn mentioned you are a very efficient town manager. We do appreciate that. I'm going to keep bragging about it. And again, it's even though they didn't rank us this year because they didn't do the rankings, but Cutler Bay was ranked as one of the most efficient cities in the state of Florida for cities our size. That's a lot of it because of the work that you and your staff do. You look at the efficiency of many of our departments. It's amazing, getting permits in cities like Coral Gables can take months, and here it can take 5 days. So again, it's just a well-run, efficient staff and team that you have, and just want to thank you for that.
And thank you, Mayor, members of council. Again, it's a complete team effort, right? From myself to the part-time lifeguard to the part-time parks person that was working until 11 o'clock at night, securing our parks tonight. So it's a complete team effort. And on behalf of the rest of the employees, thank you for the kind words.
right. Any other